Have you ever noticed that you're a completely different person in text than you are face to face? There's almost like there are two different versions of you. When you show up in person, you are more reactive to the environment. But then when you show up in text, you're more clear, maybe even more confident. You tend to say what you mean. This is a result of operating from two different cognitive modes. In person, you're reactive. There's no pause and reflect button here. You're reading people's facial expressions and you're managing your tone and you're responding to others' energy real time while adjusting everything real time too. So most of your processing power goes to managing the interaction itself, not to what you're actually trying to communicate. So you end up saying the reflexive thing naturally. And whatever keeps the conversation flowing, you'll articulate. And it's not necessarily the thing that you actually think. But in text, you're in reflection mode. There's a space between the stimulus and your response, so you can think before you send. There are no facial expressions pressuring you to respond in the very moment. You have time to access what you actually think instead of what your social calibration system urges you to say immediately. And that's why the text version of you sometimes feel like more you than the in-person you, because it kind of is. It's the you that lives in your own head, so it's more your mind and not your being. And the split of your two versions here is getting wider for millennials and Gen Z, because we've spent our formative years growing up communicating primarily through text, and that's where we learn to be articulate and vulnerable and social and everything in between. So a lot of us are really good at the reflection mode, the internal part, and we're relatively worse at the reactive mode in person. Now, when we are face to face, there's this dissonance that the person across from you is meeting someone less articulate, less clear, more reactive than the person that they know from text. And you can feel that too. So you walk away from some meetings thinking, that's not what I meant to say, or I should have said this instead, because the in-person you didn't have time to access the reflective you, because the reflective you needs to be less interrupted to actually come out. Anyway, if your digital presence and your physical presence feel like two entirely different people, the gap's probably too wide. And one mode got way more practice than the other, and you might want to balance that out. Think about it. Take care.